Hey everyone, it's Marcus, and I am zooming in the jungle room all the way over from Bali today. I'm heading back to Australia where I'm speaking to Paul Dempsey and Bernard Fanning. They are, of course, Fanning Dempsey National Park. Guys, how are you?
Excellent, thank you.
I
Well,
love it.
thanks.
I was just saying to both of you, I love your studios and I love the artwork that you choose to put in your studios as well. Amazing spaces.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's kind of for me, it's wall space for my wife's paintings. So there's no
There,
You're
room.
actually you're making me realize though I really need a plant in here.
okay, that I can arrange that. I can arrange that. We can sort something. I'll send something back from Bali. I'll bring a plant over with me.
Beautiful. That's perfect.
Hey, so I mean, obviously, you guys would have asked this question, been asked this question a million times over. But what was the inspiration behind Fanning Dempsey National Park?
Fun.
Fun, food, travel, music. songs. Uh, yeah, we were both in a bit of a cycle where we were making record and going on tour, and like Paul make something for Kate record, go on tour, and then make Paul Dempsey record and go on tour, and I'd just make one of mine and go on tour, and then maybe help produce something, all that sort of stuff. And we were both kind of like, do you want to just do something different? That was kind of the initial idea. And we just started trading songs like that.
Obviously, the new album is out. It's called The Deluge, and you are doing a national tour for that, which is going to be coming to Adelaide, playing the Highney Street Music Hall. The album is great. I'm going to tell you one of my favorite singles from the album, and I don't know if this is what you will resonate with. I'm not sure, but for me, Born Expecting gave me kind of like the modern period of the Beatles kind of vibes for some reason. I'm not sure why. The moment I heard it, I was like recollecting, that kind of period. What's one of your favorite singles from the album?
It keeps changing for me all the time. And
Yeah.
especially now that we're getting into live mode, just going through them and hearing them. I love Born Expecting too. I kind of hear what you're saying about that. No one's compared anything we've done on this record to the Beatles.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, the closest thing would probably be Blood in terms of it being a melodic sort of mid-tempo thing. But Born Expecting, maybe that everybody's got something to hide except for me and my monkey kind of vibe, like that really up-tempo driving kind of thing. I love that song. I love the lyrics. Paul wrote that, and that song captures most of the ideas that we wanted to kind of try to inject into the record, I guess, because it's a driving beat. It uses a sequenced kind of bass line that keeps going around in a kind of a strange loop, and it's not the most melodic song on the record, but it's got the way that the lyric is phrased and everything. It really suits what's going on, what's being said, and how kind of caustic the lyric is, I think.
So Paul, with the album, when you were putting this album together, was there a motivation behind the album in regards to a message or, what it symbolized?
Not really. We were just thinking more in terms of, we wanted it to feel different and just have a different kind of palette to it than anything either of us had done before. Like there wasn't much point, in just kind of treading the same ground for either of us. If you're going to do a new project, then it should be a really new sounding project. So, we were both like huge fans of a lot of music from the late 70s and early 80s where synthesizers were starting to sort of become the dominant element. And that was kind of a world that neither of us had really explored that much. I mean, we've both obviously always had, pianos and keyboards and synths on our other stuff, but we decided to kind of really, play around with those like sequenced bass lines and really rigid driving kind of arrangements. And like, you were talking about favorite songs off the record, and, for me, Strangers is one of them because it's like the best example of just that and kind of forcing a rock band to play to that really mechanical thing, but like it still feels live and it still feels human, and it's got all that great human kind of punky energy, but it's glued to this synthesized, bass line. So that was kind of, without having a plan or knowing exactly what it was we wanted to do, we just kind of threw ourselves in the deep end of synth world. And as you can see, I've ended up in the very deep end. But it's but it's been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There's some
it was more about knowing what to avoid than exactly what we wanted to do. So
there are some really, really good songs on this album, like terrific, like musically, lyrically, all of it. How many songs did you guys put together that didn't actually even make the album?
A couple, yeah. Like I don't know, how many did we write, Bernard? Was it like close to 20 or something?
Yeah, I think we had about 20 ideas, and then I think we had like 16 or so sort of final ones that we said, okay, these are the contenders, and then we kind of chopped that down. We recorded 12, but we only 10 ended up on the. So there were, I mean, out of those 20, I wouldn't say they were all complete, but they were decent, solid ideas that had a few kind of good moving parts in them and whatnot. So, I mean, the whole process of writing this happened through the COVID period. So Paul was in Melbourne, I live in Byron. So we were just swapping stuff by email or by Dropbox, basically. That was kind of how we did it. And then calling each other and saying, what do you think? What can we do with this? And blah, blah, blah. And then sending ideas back and forth to each other's songs. So there was lots of stuff. And like always, when you make a record, there's lots of song carcasses left on the highway, because it just has to be like that. You can't, everything you write can't be great. There has to be some shit ones on the way to kind of graduate up to being really good,
I mean, you both.
So yeah, there were heaps of ideas going around, and there's probably only 5 or 6 where one of us kind of submitted an idea to the other and said, what do you think? And I was just like, oh, maybe it's not for this project or whatever. So yeah, we were kind of on the same path most of the time.
You both had very illustrious careers, obviously, and over a good few decades now. Do you ever go, and like you were just saying, Bernard, do you ever go back to a carcass of a single, a song, if you like, and rework it and make it happen, for now?
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like like one of the songs. There's a song on the record called "Past Tomorrow."
Yep.
And it's got this just kind of 3 chords that just sort of go round and round and round. It's got this kind of circular thing. So I've been playing those 3 chords for about 14 years.
But being able to kind of manage them into something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I like the way it felt. I like the way those 3 chords felt, but I could never come up with a chorus that matched, and I was never able to write any lyrics, and it was just a thing I kept playing. And I feel like even songs that don't get finished or don't make a record, it just wasn't their time. But I often will go back to them and they'll sort of get a new life somewhere else.
Yeah. So you guys, let's go back to the earlier days, individually, both when you were younger. Who were the artists that you were listening to when you, really started to evolve and grow into the music kind of industry, I guess, if you like? Who were you inspired by?
Well, I was kind of inspired initially, I think, by real classic rock. I had a brother that was 10 years older than me, so he was kind of growing up through the 60s and 70s. So a lot of the music that he was listening to, like the Beatles and the Stones and those kinds of things. Yep. And then I also had a brother who was 1 year older than me and who was a bit of a metalhead. So he got into like Led Zeppelin and Sabbath and Iron Maiden and all that stuff. Sort of in the 80s when I was about 12 or 13. Yep. So a lot of that stuff, and David Bowie kind of all the way through. But then when I was about 15, I kind of got more into soul and folk music. So, and eventually into more kind of Americana, like Americana style country, not full kind of country, but which I actually love.
Yeah.
I love the more traditional bluegrassy kind of stuff. But yeah, that was kind of the way that I went along. But I was a teenager in the 80s, so all of this period that we're talking about was when I was, watching Countdown and listening to the radio and
Wow.
hearing all of this stuff, all of these synths and everything that were just kind of starting to come through. So, when you're 13, every note. Well, in those days anyway, you knew every note of every song on the radio, even if you didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was because you didn't have that choice to go select anything from the entire history of recorded music like you do now. You had your own record collection, which was generally pretty limited because it was expensive, and then the radio.
Yeah.
And, so you knew all the Hall and Oates and the Boz Scaggs and the, whatever other tragedies came along on the way through.
It's just
so
nuts.
yeah, influenced by everything.
And Paul, what about you?
Yeah, look, I'm the same. I had 3 older sisters, so everything they were listening to filtered down to me. But they were pretty eclectic. That was everything from like the Birthday Party, and like bands like Television, and then my other sister was like really into Madonna and Whitney Houston. So a lot of pop stuff. And then by the time I was learning guitar, I was a metalhead, and I'd sort of taught myself to play guitar listening to Iron Maiden and Slayer and Metallica. And then by the time I started something for Kate, I had kind of gone more into like American underground sort of punk alternative stuff like Sonic Youth and Fugazi. So by the time I was motivated to start my own band, it was really more about that kind of American underground DIY thing, and local bands that made that all seem possible, like bands like Magic Dirt and Spiderbait, who I saw putting out their own 7-inches without, the help of a label or a big company or whatever. And that's really they're the kind of bands that going to all ages shows as a teenager was like, wow, you can actually do this. It's not like you don't have to be Bon Jovi, you can start you can start your own band and put out your own thing and play some shows and have fun. And that was kind of, yeah, that's, I guess, where the actual band started.
Guys, what was the first concert you ever went to?
Mine was Duran Duran at Festival Hall in Brisbane.
Yeah. Woo!
Bernard, I had dinner with my cousin David last week, and that was his first concert.
No way. At Festival in Melbourne.
He was there as well. He was, yeah. Anyway, I'll tell you later.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
It was mind blowing.
I love.
Well, he still has vivid memories as well. My first concert was with my cousin David, who I just mentioned. It was John Farnham at World Expo '88 in Brisbane.
Wow.
But the first concert I actually paid to, like, bought a ticket to myself was Nirvana, opening for the Violent Femmes, also in Queensland. I used to live in Queensland as well, so at the Southport Spit, which is
mad. That's incredible. I'm going to tell you my first concert I ever went to, which was, I think, 89, 88, something like that. 85, maybe, who knows? But it was Midnight Oil, first ever. And it was like, it was massive, just a huge, huge night. And then 1 week later, I saw Tina Turner, exceptional. So to go from Midnight Oil and Tina Turner, it essentially paved my way for the rest of my life up to now. There we go.
Absolutely.
That's kind of an indication, isn't it, of what the 80s was like? Like, you weren't getting really genre'd off, unless you were just like a pure metalhead, for example. But the radio and whatnot was so much more eclectic. Radio now is just pop, really. It's just pop. That's about all there is. Right? There's not even any rock and roll or anything on there.
No.
And it all sounds the same. Like, it just
really
all sounds. Whereas, like, you think about the top 10 any given week in the 80s, you think about the songs in the top 10, and they were 10 completely different songs.
Yeah, 100%. Hey guys, obviously, like I said, the Fanning Dempsey National Park tour is happening. Obviously promoting the new album, The Deluge. It is coming to Adelaide, October 18, Hindley Street Music Hall. I'm going to be there. I can't wait. And it's actually not that far away because it's October the 3rd already. What can we expect from the show?
Well, we're doing our final rehearsal this weekend and getting things kind of organized. But I mean, we're playing everything from the record, but we're also playing some songs that Paul and I have written over the last 20 years, maybe longer now. I don't know. I can't calculate, but a few songs from each of our catalogs, and a few kind of fun songs that we didn't write that other people wrote that are pretty exciting, a few covers. Awesome. So we're still kind of putting the final touches to everything, but it's really exciting. It's all new for us. So we kind of don't know what to expect either. We don't know how the audience is going to behave or what they're going to expect. So there might be like a kind of testing out period at the start of the show. Who knows? We just don't. It's all pretty exciting though. It's all new, which is what the whole point of this was.
I love it. It sounds great. Well, guys, I would love to sit and chat to you about music and your incredible careers. But just over there, there's a pool and there's a palm tree and hopefully very soon a cocktail waiting for me. And lots of bikinis and all that kind of stuff going on. So I'm going to go. I'm going to see you in Adelaide on October the 18th at Hindley Street Music Hall. Everyone get out and grab your tickets because these guys are icons. They're, the tapestry of the music landscape in Australia. Get along, buy tickets, support Australian entertainment. Guys, thank you so much. Paul Dempsey.
Thanks, mate. And great work for what you guys do, mate. It's really good.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys. I'll see you very soon.